Welcome to my Boomer Buddies podcast, where we tell it like it was and is. In this episode, we are going to take a Boomer Buddy look, a nostalgic look, if you will, at the iconic candy that we had available to us while growing up. Much like music can spur memories, different times of the year can spur memories of the past, candy can as well. I think back to my youth before I started eating candy and my teeth were good. I used to really like candy and I still have a sweet tooth. So it really goes back into my heart to talk about candy. The situation we had growing up, 6 kids in my family. If you go down the hill from our neighborhood, right at the lake, there's a lake road, and there was a dairy store called Horseman's Dairy where we could go in with our pennies and buy penny candy. And if we had a little bit more, we could get some candy bars. And getting that money was also another story. We would cash in my dad's pop bottles. You'd think he knew we were doing it, but we tried to sneak them. And then also the teenagers that would smoke cigarettes down by the lake and have a bottle of soda pop, they'd just discard their pop bottles in the weeds because they were too cool to change them in for pennies. We would go find those, and then what would we do? We would go get our favorite candy. So now let's review some of the candy, the history of candy, and maybe some of these will strike a chord with you. If they do, just put in the comments below on YouTube what candies you remember, what candies you liked, what candies you didn't like. So without further ado, let's start with the history of some of these candy bars and candies. Okay, in the early 1900s, Hershey became very popular. The Hershey bar, you had the milk chocolate, the ones with almonds. To this day, it's still a go-to for me. Hershey candy bars, originally sold just for a nickel, and it made chocolate an accessible treat for us. In the 1920s, Baby Ruth bars, that was in 21. In 22, the Abba Zaba bar. 1924, Dum Dums. And in 1925, the Charleston Chew. It was a popular way to eat a Charleston Chew right out of the freezer. And since then, there have been other candy bars where we do the same thing. Now, the 1930s brought us Sugar Babies, just little caramel tidbits, and the Fifth Avenue bar, and that was by Hershey. That was milk chocolate, crunchy peanut butter. Pretty good. The 40s saw some popular choices that are still around today. 1940, the York Peppermint Patty. Those are still great. Love those. 1941, M&Ms came to be. These little candies have a colorful origin. During the Spanish Civil War, Forrest Mars Sr., son of inventor of Milky Way, witnessed soldiers eating small chocolate beads covered in hard sugar shells. And that was the inspiration. Chocolate sales typically dropped during the summer when temperatures rose, and Mars was excited at the idea of inventing a product that wouldn't melt. So he and Bruce Murray, son of Hershey executive William Murray, joined together to create the original M&Ms. Mars plus Murray equals M&M. In 1941, Mars received a patent for his product and began mass producing the little chocolate in Newark, New Jersey. They originally sold in tubes, shelled in brown, red, orange, yellow, green, and violet coatings, and only to soldiers in the war. The candies were first stamped with a black M in 1950, which later changed in 1954 to the iconic white M that we all know today. 1941, peanut M&Ms were introduced. 1945, Dots Gumdrops, boasting to be America's favorite #1 selling gumdrop brand. Since its introduction in 1945, these chewy candies have been beloved for over 6 decades. Tootsie makes over 4 billion dots each year, and they still come in the same original flavors as they did in the 40s. There's strawberry, cherry, lemon, lime, and orange. 1947, Bazooka bubble gum. Just looking at the picture makes you think of the taste of that bubble gum in your mouth. It was developed at the end of World War II in Brooklyn, New York. Bazooka bubblegum with its Bazooka Joe comic inside has been a classic chewing gum for decades. 1948, Almond Joy. My mother loves those. Whenever I get a variety pack, I put those aside for her. While its partner candy bar Mounds have been around for almost a century, Almond Joy didn't join the game until later. While Mounds were already becoming a classic among Americans, the demand for milk chocolate was increasing steadily. So that led to the development of the Almond Joy candy bar. 1949, Junior Mints came to be. Had a creamy mint filling with a chocolate shell. Junior Mints were named after a popular Broadway show, Junior Miss, that was on the stages in the 40s. Today, over 15 million Junior Mints are produced each day in Cambridge, Massachusetts. 1949, Smarties. Edward, Eddie D., an English immigrant, moved to Jersey in 1949 and founded CD Candy. From there, he began to create the candy wafer rolls we all know and love today. So Smarties are made 24 hours a day in factories in both Union, New Jersey and Newmarket, Ohio. If I had my choices, I wouldn't go right to Smarties, but they can be addicting once you get going on those. 1952, Pixie Sticks. In the 30s, a fruit drink called Fruitola, was kind of a Kool-Aid-esque powder that was mixed into water, was all the rage for the kids. Eventually, it evolved into Fruzola, a powdered sugar that came packaged ready with a spoon, erasing water from the equation. Well, naturally, the kids loved the idea. Mainline that sugar, why not? So they're allowed to eat straight up sugar. And the name Pixie Sticks was first used in 1952 when the sugar from the Fruzola pack was packaged into a straw-shaped container. Today, Pixie Sticks come in 5 flavors: grape, Maui Punch, orange, red, and strawberry, and are providing nightmares to parents everywhere. The 1950s brought us even more candy for us boomers to enjoy. 1950, the Look Bar. 1950 also brought us hot tamales. Those are so good. Cinnamon flavored candies, obviously. And in 1952, the popular Pez candies came along. And how many of you collected Pez dispensers? I know I did. I know my grandson, I think I turned mine over to him. Yeah. 1953, Peeps. Very popular at Easter time, but it was also available in other times like Halloween and Christmas and summertime. Manufactured by Just Born, everyone's favorite marshmallow chicks were created by hand until Bob Bourne joined the company in 1946. Since then, Peeps have been produced in Bethlehem, PA, using a machine popping out a package of cute little guys in 6 minutes. 1955, Chico Sticks. And then Pop Rocks, that came in 1956. Remember those things exploding in your mouth? Well, they were accidentally discovered by a chemist who was developing an instant soft drink. And voila, made it into a candy. And then in 1958, something that I know my siblings bought and I bought, the candy necklace, which was really a pain, especially in the summer. You wear that around your neck, around your wrist, and then you start sweating and you're just a sticky mess. But as I got older, I learned to just eat it off the string. Yeah, candy necklaces. Okay, in 1960, Lemon Heads came into be. Used the same formula that produced Red Hots. The sweet sour candies were first produced by Ferrara Pan in 1960. And the process is called cold panning, in which candy pieces are tossed into a revolving pan as color and flavor are added. A big favorite came out in 1960 called Starburst. The Fruity Chewy Candies were first launched in the UK in 1960, and they made their way over the Atlantic in 67. The original flavors were strawberry, lemon, orange, and lime. In 62, the Now and Later, those taffies were created in 62. They were given their name based on the idea that you could enjoy some now and save some for later. But we think whoever opened the candy devoured them right away. I know I would have. But as we all know, as boomer kids, there was no later. It was now that we ate those things. In 63, sweet tarts, the sugary sour coated candies, have been a favorite for candy lovers for over 4 decades. So earlier you had the Smarties, and then now you have the sweet tarts. In 1958 came Swedish Fish. And then during the 50s, there's no specific date in my research, but the satellite wafers came to be. And in 63, you had the Astro Pop, multi-flavored candy. In 1963, one of my favorites came to be, the Cadbury Cream Egg. Now, how do you eat those? Do you just take one big, huge bite out of the middle? Or do you eat it out of the end and then work that creamy filling through that little hole? How did you eat your Cadbury egg? Let me know. 1964 brought the 100 grand bar. The 100 grand bar was good. It had caramel, little Rice Crisps in there with chocolate. Pretty good. The 100 grand bar. 1966 brought us Razzles, which you could bite on those, and then it became kind of a gum. And they were made originally in one flavor, raspberry. 1969 brought us the fruit striped gum. Love that. So good. 72 brought us bottle caps. 73 Fun Dip. Also blow pops. Those were big in our household, especially with my younger siblings. And then we had Bubble Yum. 76 Jelly Belly. And the most popular flavor was Berry Cherry. 76, still popular today, Starburst came to be. In 78, Reese's Pieces, which are like basically like M&Ms, but with peanut butter chocolate in there. And 2 weeks after the 82 premiere of the classic movie E.T., Hershey saw a 65% jump in sales of Reese's Pieces. And I think the story went that M&M either didn't want to do it or they wanted too much money, so they used Hershey's Reese's Pieces in its place. In 79, the very popular Ring Pops. 79, Skittles. And in the 70s came Laffy Taffy. Did that ring any bells with any of you? Any of that candy? What was your go-to candy bar or candy? I know what I liked is I really liked Nestle's Crunch Bars. And then, of course, you also had the Kit Kat bars. And 2 other favorites of mine that are really good out of the freezer are the Milky Way and the Three Musketeer bars. So that's a little history on a lot of the candies that we ate as boomers, and maybe perhaps still like today, though some of us have to watch our health. Obviously, I like candy too much to be talking so much about it, but it's nostalgic. It's fun. What are your memories? You can email me at myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com. That's myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com. So a lot of our content is nostalgic. We've talked about classic TV shows like Perry Mason, Green Acres, Petticoat Junction, all the spy shows like Man from U.N.C.L.E. We talked a little bit about Johnny Quest. I want to do a whole episode on that cartoon. That was so ahead of its time. And we talked about Get Smart. We've talked about the Wild Wild West. A lot of TV shows like that. We've also talked about music and how that stirs memories in us. If you have any kind of content you want to talk about, go ahead in the YouTube comment section, put your comments in there, what you'd like to cover, and tell us about your favorite candy. Tell us about your favorite TV shows, your favorite band. We also talk about history on the Boomer Buddies channel and anything that's Boomer related. I'm also thinking about doing an episode on pickleball because that seems to be all the rage right now. And I've got really good friends that play pickleball, and I'd like to learn more about it. So, well, we appreciate you watching my Boomer Buddies podcast, where we tell it like it was and is. I'm Rick Reed. Other episodes will have some of my Boomer Buddies on along. Today I am solo. Enjoyed bringing you this history on candy, and it made me really think about all the candy I consumed over the years. Some of it I liked, some of it I didn't like, but that's okay. That's why they have a variety out there. So I wasn't quite the sweet and sour guy, but I sure like chocolate. Let me know what you think. If you like this episode, if you like this series, share, like, and subscribe on YouTube. There's a button down there you can hit. And also you can hear us on Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other applications. And we love having you here. Tell a friend. Until next time, for my Boomer Buddies podcast, this is Rick Reed. We'll see you around the block. Great.
If you enjoy this podcast and are viewing on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button on your screen and share it with your friends, and feel free to comment below. You can also hear us on Spotify and Buzzsprout. Feel free to email comments to myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com.